Hello and welcome to the Drumwell podcast, where we look at what drummers do away from the kit in order to do their very best behind the kit. And today I just want to do a little bonus episode. So I don't have a guest. You might remember last year I did my drumming goals for 2025, and I just wanted to do a little one for 2026. I've been away on holidays sporadically, which has been great, doing a bit of travel. But I've had some really good guests on to start this year. Adam Jarvis in January, and then Louis Rando earlier this month. So that's been great kickstart. But I thought I'd like to just talk about a couple of things that I'm doing. Maybe talk a little bit about where the podcast is headed, and just do a little bonus episode. So here we are. So my drumming goals for 2026, quite similar to last year, I'd say, like as far as the body and the diet goes. I've put together a different exercise routine. I'm still working out 5 to 6 days a week, but I'm trying to eat a bit differently. So I'm trying to have a bigger meal with breakfast. So I'll do my workout first thing in the morning, then I'll have a bigger meal with breakfast, and then sort of something smaller in the middle of the day, and then my dinner isn't massive, but it's like substantial. And so far it's been really good. I've been doing it for a couple of weeks now, and I haven't sort of been coming home from work or anything feeling hungry. I've just sort of, so far it's been working well. And exercising first thing in the morning, like I'll wake up, I'll sort of have my water and, sit for a while. But basically within sort of half an hour of getting out of bed, I will be in the gym or going for a run. So I'm trying to do, across the 6 days, I'm trying to do sort of, rather than like leg day, arm day, a lot of my workouts in the past have been sort of full body every day. But I sort of wanted to try something different. So I'm thinking, still sort of sussing it out. But what I'm doing is like top half one day, then I'll do a day of HIIT, so high intensity interval training, which could be anything. I've got a little app where you basically like spin the wheel and it'll, you put in what equipment you have and you spin the wheel and it'll give you a workout, which could be anything from sort of Tabata or as many rounds as possible or every minute on the minute, doing various different movements. So that's been pretty cool. And then I've been running again. I've been running now. I used to always run with music and I'd find that it was great, but I started running without music. I was over in Europe in the winter, and there was this whole thing where people were like jogging in the snow, like putting thermals on and jogging. And I thought, I'll give that a go. So I started running over there on the cold, dark mornings, and I've just continued it since I've been back home. But I find like not listening to anything, I can just keep running. And I don't know how far I've run. I just sort of do a circuit, and I'm actually running way longer. It's not time restricted or sort of kilometer restricted. I'm just running, and then I sort of end up back at home. So that's been really cool too. But I'm only doing a couple of days a week, whereas when I was really into running, I'd do it 4 or 5 days a week, as well as weights training. So the older you get, the body, you got to sort of trick the body and do different things. So that's what I'm trying as far as diet and exercise this year. Something else trying to do drum wise. So I'm just trying a few of these new techniques. I was having a great chat with a couple of drummers the other week about just different techniques and sort of perfecting your craft. So what I've been trying to do is like the push-pull, which is like, it's almost like a gravity blast, but you're not using the rim of the snare. So you're sort of pushing down and then pulling back up and sort of controlling the bounce like that. So I've been trying to do that. Obviously pretty good already with my right hand. The left hand needs work. I've also been trying switch blasts just for something fun. I think they're kind of cool. So I've been trying to do a bit of those. I've been getting back into gravity blasts as well. Like I didn't do them for a long time. I think there's probably a couple, like maybe one song, one King Parrot song I did them in, but I haven't really done them in a long time. So I've been sort of trying to get better at those. And again, try to get the left hand a lot better. And I'm also trying to learn like the double strokes on the feet. So that's a I don't know. Some days it feels like I'm getting it, and then other days it feels like I'm not. But yeah, all works in progress. So yeah, the push pull, the switch blast, and the double strokes on the feet are what I've been sort of working towards. And I'm also doing a lot more pad practice. So just like, you know, 15 to 30 minutes a day at home before work, I'll get on the pad and just do drills, just try to get those hands better. And like I'll sort of do, I discussed this with Louis Rando actually, where I'm sitting there doing like heels down doubles underneath the patterns I'm doing on top, which really gets a burn in those shin muscles. It's actually kind of nice. With the podcast this year, I mean, I'm just going to keep rolling with it as I have. I do have a new logo. Obviously, the old pictures I've got a lot of pictures of myself with dreadlocks, and it doesn't really reflect the way I look anymore. So I actually used AI and stuck a couple of photos of myself into AI and put a drum behind it, and that's it. There we go. New logo. So you'll probably see that pop up. If not on this episode, it might be on one of the next ones. So I'm going to do some bonus episodes as well, like this one. I'll still keep putting an episode out on the 6th of the month. That's the date, 6th of the month. Every month at midday, there'll be an episode. But I'm going to do a few bonus episodes because I just want to, I don't know, try and use the podcast a bit to help promote a few things as well, like promote great drummers, but also just some, I'm a very proud Brisbane drummer, musician. I've been involved with the scene here for, 25 years, and I just want to try and help out a little bit there. So we've got a little festival coming up here called Shredfest. It was a staple in the Brisbane heavy metal scene for a long time. And Mousy, the organizer, he's had a few years off, but it's come back with a bang this year, like massive lineup. It's on May the 2nd at the Mansfield Tavern. And there's several great drummers playing, but there's a handful actually doing, double and triple duties. So I thought that'd be kind of a cool little spotlight, not only to promote Shredfest, but just to have a chat about how drummers sort of plan to play multiple sets with different bands at the same show. Because I'm sure a lot of drummers have done it. I've definitely done it. But yeah, it's just interesting to hear other people's approach, how they go about it, how they sort of learn the songs or relearn songs. So yeah, I just thought that'd be a cool little series. So over the next 2 months, so there'll be 2 episodes in March, and there'll be like at least 1 or 2 in April, all talking to drummers from Shredfest. So I've got some really great guests lined up, and that's going to be a little series just to give Shredfest a good plug. What else? I mean, last year, the highlights from last year, I had I obviously put 12 episodes out. I had some really great guests ranging from, I had my first non-drummer guest actually, Tom Swales. He's like a body movement specialist. So he was a really interesting chat. I also had drummers. I had Lee Stanton, ex-Thiotis Murder, who is also an exercise physiologist. I did a bit of work with him last year. I did his strength course through General Strength Co. You can look them up online if you want any sort of coaching or plans made up. He's really good, but he also can relate things back to being a drummer. So we had a great chat. If you didn't catch that, you can sort of go back and have a listen. Robin Stone, prolific session artist. That was a really good chat earlier in the year. I had Mitch Fogarty. He's an old friend, plays with Alpha Wolf. He's been a great drummer for a long time, and went from sort of local bands to sort of busy session guy, and then landed the Alpha Wolf gig and never looked back. And Josh Paish was another great one. Strong man, played in bands for years. Another guy I've known for a long, long time. Oh, I'm probably forgetting some of my great guests. Frankie Macri, he was excellent. He actually taught me a really cool trick with making click tracks for learning songs. So you do the click, but then you can sort of put a voiceover into your click, counting down when the next, you announce the part and do a count in so you know where to change. So that's something I've been trying to get better with myself. That's probably another goal of mine actually this year, is to get better with recording. So being able to record my own drums a bit better. So, obviously I can record my own, I can demo stuff, but I want to try and make it a little bit cleaner and better and just play around with that. And also making click tracks. I want to be better at that because often I'll have to get help from someone. So just sort of being a bit more self-sufficient with my own stuff. That's just another one of my goals this year. Back to some highlights from last year. I obviously had my time with King Parrot came to an end, so that was probably a low light in some ways, but a highlight in others because it's really opened up a lot of doors. Almost too many at one point. It got a bit overwhelming there. I had so many great offers and so much great music thrown at me, and then it sort of got to a point where I was like, well, I've got too much here. I just need to take a step back and not take on too much, because I'd done that in the past. There was one point I was playing in 12 bands, and I don't think I could do that anymore. I like the balance. I like the life balance with and keeping music fun. So, however, the album did come out. I was very proud of that album, and Sick Drummer magazine actually recognized me in their top drummers for 2025, which was just, amazing. I never really expected that. So that was a nice little, I don't know, a little bit of recognition for something that I worked really hard on, that album. I put a lot of time and effort and hours into that, and very proud of my contribution to the writing process, the recording process, and just how the drums all turned out on that. So, yeah, it was nice to get a little recognition from such a great, worldwide organization like Sick Drummer magazine. Live session stuff, Combi Christ, what a highlight. I'd sort of blocked out my year last year for a lot of touring that I was supposed to be doing, and that sort of abruptly ended. So I had 6 months where I didn't play a show, which is probably, aside from COVID, that'd be the longest I haven't played a show in, I don't know, 25 years. So it was awesome to just, the first show back being a Combi Christ tour. That was great. And it was also something very different from what I won't say ever done, but from what I've done in the last, 10 or 15 years. So that was really cool just to get in and learn it. And I actually had no rehearsals with the band. It was just, learnt it myself. I got all the click tracks that we were playing to, and just learnt it all myself. I met the guys the night before the first gig, and then, we did a sound check, and then we did the gig. That was the first time we'd played the set together. So that was really cool, and I was pretty stoked to be asked to do that. I also had another album out last year, a band that I've done a few sessions for, a Canadian band, Visions of the Night. But Pete Wolfsblood, the main guy, he changed the name of the band to reflect the previous album title, which was Supreme Act of War. So the band's now called Supreme Act of War, and the new album's called Divisions of the Night. So that came out at the end of last year as well. I recorded that, actually. I tracked the drums for that. It was probably during COVID, probably like 2021 that I tracked that. But he was sort of slowly plugging away at it, and that was released last year. So very cool to have a couple of albums come out. I was also, part of my, thing last year was just I was relearning a lot of like old songs that I played, and just relearning a lot of old skills that I'd sort of lost, because I went to, I've been playing sort of thrash grind stuff for the last 10, 15 years, and I guess you just slip into a bit of a comfort zone. So, I was kind of getting, I won't say frustrated, but it was like, oh, wow, the realization that there was so many things that I used to be able to play quite easily that I really had to work at to get back up to sort of scratch with. So that was another bit of an eye opener and a highlight of last year. Anyway, moving forward, this year I've got a lot, not a lot. I've got a few great, exciting things on the go. Obviously, the podcast. I'm going to keep doing that. It seems to be, growing. I'm starting to get emails from, like, I don't know what you'd call them, podcast sort of organizations wanting me to advertise and stuff. So, I mean, it's a consideration. I never really wanted to like put ads in the podcast, but obviously it does take time and effort. The way I do it now through this Riverside program obviously costs money. So it's been a consideration whether I'd sort of recoup a bit of the time, get a bit of pay for the time and the effort. But hey, what do you listeners think? Maybe you could put a comment on this episode if you would be open to ads on the podcast, or maybe you're not. Let me know. Love to hear from you. I'm also working on, I've got some live stuff. So I'm going to be a live drummer for a sort of a heavy electronic artist. So that'll be announced fairly soon. That's going to be really cool. Something different again. Although there is a lot of blast beats, there's also a lot of crazy stuff that it's really going to give me a good push to try different things. So I'm excited for that. I'm recording a couple of albums. I've got a couple of projects going on with some friends, which is going to help me to get better with my own recording as well. So whether I actually end up tracking the stuff myself or not, but I can at least just get some time in the studio tracking my drums and working through these projects. So hey, maybe it will be me engineering and playing, or maybe I'll have to go in and see one of my several, producer studio friends that are very good with all this sort of stuff. But that's just something I really want to work towards, is just being a bit more self-sufficient. Oh, another highlight from last year, I will say, was the drum hangs out at STW Drum School out at Everton Hills. You might remember I had Scott Wade on here as a guest 2 years ago, 2024. He was a guest, but last year he was doing these drum hangs. So yeah, it was really cool. Like, drummers just come out, hang out, swap tips. He had a couple of drum kits set up. He had a bunch of pads set up, and really you just talking drums. So it was great. So hopefully there'll be a few more of those this year. I'll certainly be, putting the word out on my socials, which is at Todd Hansen Official for the most part, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. But yeah, STW Drum School, if you want to go and check out one of those. If you're in Brisbane, of course. If you're not in Brisbane, it's probably a bit of a long way to travel. But I think there might be, I did a clinic out there at one point, and we've been talking about maybe doing another clinic this year. So that could be in the works at some point. But aside from that, I'm also doing a lot of stuff with Fuck. We've got a few shows coming up, which will be announced soon. We're obviously playing Shredfest, which is going to be great. And then we've got a few other shows coming up. And we've got some new music that we're going to put out there this year too. So that's something exciting to look forward to as well. Anyway, I just wanted to do a little bonus episode. I want to thank everyone that's followed and listened to this, watched, listened, followed the podcasts. It's been almost 2 years since the first episode, and yeah, it's exciting. It's fun. I enjoy doing it. So, but if you have any feedback, I'd love to hear about it. Throw us a comment, send us a message. Anything you want me to try and discuss, how you feel about if I put ads in or not, because I'm not too sure how I feel about it, but it'd be nice to know what the listeners think. Also, share my podcast if you like it. If you're enjoying it, maybe share it on your socials. Do the whole like and subscribe and all that sort of jazz that every podcaster tells you to do. Although I'd never tell anyone what to do, but if you choose to, that would be really cool. It's sort of just one way you can really support what we do here and how you can help the growth. So anyway, really appreciate it. Love to hear some more about your drumming goals as well in the comments. Anything drum related. Let's have a chat. I generally check my comments and stuff, so I'll always get back to you with a response. But yeah, once again, thanks for all the support, and I look forward to bringing you more excellent drummers and drumming content in 2026. Cheers.